The sky lit up with a bright flash over the Nevada desert. Dr. Catherine Walsh looked up from her computer screen and saw the light through her office window. At first, she thought it was a meteor. But the radar readings told a different story. "This was no space rock, this was a ship. Get me a team ready," she said into her phone, "and tell General Harper we have a situation." Catherine had worked at the Meridian Research Base for 5 years. She was the lead scientist for Project Chimera, a secret program to make soldiers stronger and faster. The military wanted super soldiers who could heal quickly and fight better. Catherine had created a special liquid called serum CH7. This serum changed how cells worked. In lab tests, it made mice run faster and heal from wounds in minutes instead of days. 3 military trucks raced across the desert to where the ship had crashed. Catherine rode in the first truck. She had brought her testing kit and a medical bag. No one knew what they would find. The crash site was easy to spot. A long, deep cut in the sand led to a silver ship about the size of a school bus. It was partly buried in the ground. Strange symbols covered its smooth metal skin. The ship was like nothing made on Earth. "Secure the area," ordered Captain Olivia Martinez. She was in charge of base security. Her team spread out around the ship with guns. "Ready." "It's cooling down fast," said Catherine as she pointed a heat sensor at the ship. "Whatever power source it used must be offline now." A section of the ship's side suddenly slid open. Everyone stepped back. Soldiers raised their weapons. A figure stumbled out and fell to the sand. It was a female, about the height of a human woman. Her skin was pale with a slight blue tint. Where a human would have hair, she had what looked like scales. Thin, flat ones that shimmered with rainbow colors in the sunlight. She wore a tight-fitting suit that seemed to be made of a material similar to leather but smoother. "She's hurt," said Catherine, rushing forward despite Captain Martinez's warning shout. The alien had a deep cut on her arm. Her blood was dark purple. Catherine checked for a pulse and found one, but not where a human pulse would be. The alien had 3 distinct heartbeats, each with its own rhythm. "We need to take her back to base," Catherine said. "She needs medical help." "That's against protocol," said Martinez. "She should go to Area 51. "Area 51 doesn't have my medical equipment or knowledge of xenobiology," Catherine argued. "And by the time they get here, she could be dead. Do you want to explain to your superiors how you let the first contact with an alien species die in the sand?" Martinez frowned, but then nodded. "Fine. But this is on you, Doctor." They carefully moved the alien onto a stretcher and into one of the trucks. Catherine sat beside her, monitoring her vital signs on a portable device. The alien's 3 hearts beat in a pattern, 2 quick beats followed by 1 slower one. Back at Meridian Base, they set up a special room for the alien. It had a hospital bed and was surrounded by clear walls so they could watch her without getting too close. Catherine treated the alien's wound and set up machines to monitor her condition. "Her cells are fascinating," Catherine told her assistant, Heather Collins, as they looked at a sample of the alien's blood under a microscope. "They're similar to ours in some ways, but they can change shape much more easily. And look at this. Each cell has multiple nuclei." The alien remained unconscious for 2 days. Catherine stayed at the base, sleeping on a cot near the alien's room. On the morning of the 3rd day, the alien opened her eyes. They were large, with pupils like a cat's, vertical slits that widened in the room's dim light. Samantha Gray, the base's communications officer, was called in. She had been working on a translation program using the symbols found on the alien's ship. The alien spoke in a musical language with sounds that seemed to come from multiple places in her throat at once. "My name is Lyra," was the first phrase. The translation program deciphered. "My ship damaged." Over the next few hours, they learned that Lyra was from a group called the Cygnus Federation. She had been sent to study Earth. Her ship had hit something in orbit, possibly space junk, and crashed. "We have been watching your planet," the translation of Lyra's words read on Samantha's screen. "We needed to know if you were ready." "Ready for what?" asked Catherine. "For the truth about space," Lyra replied. "You are not alone, and not all who watch are friendly." That night, while the night shift guards, Nicole Blackwood and Laura Penn, were changing places, the security cameras in Lyra's room stopped working. for 3 minutes. When they came back on, Lyra was still in her bed. But the next morning when Catherine arrived at the lab, alarms were blaring. Lyra had escaped her room. The security footage showed she had been watching the guards enter their codes. She had memorized the pattern and used it once the night staff had left. "Find her!" shouted Commander Diane Powell over the base's speakers. "She could be dangerous." Catherine ran to her lab, worried that Lyra might damage her equipment. When she got there, she found the alien standing by one of the tables. In her hand was an empty vial labeled CH7. "Lyra, what have you done?" Catherine gasped. The alien turned to look at her. Then she dropped the empty vial and fell to the floor. Her body began to shake, and then, most terrifying of all, her veins began to glow with a bright blue light that pulsed in rhythm with her 3 hearts. Security guards rushed in and surrounded her, but it was too late. Lyra had drunk the military serum, and her body was changing before their eyes. "Get her to the medical bay now," Catherine yelled. 4 guards lifted Lyra's shaking body onto a wheeled stretcher. The blue glow under her skin was getting brighter. Commander Powell's voice came over the base speakers. "All personnel, this is a code red. Everyone not directly involved with the alien containment must evacuate to the surface immediately." Catherine and Heather pushed the stretcher down the hall. Lyra's body temperature was rising fast. The scales on her head were spreading across her skin. "What will the serum do to her?" Heather asked, her voice shaking. "I don't know," Catherine replied. "It was made for humans. Her biology is different." In the medical bay, they attached sensors to Lyra's body. The monitors showed her heart rates were all speeding up. The blue glow was now visible through her entire body. "Her cells are changing," Catherine said, looking through a microscope at a fresh blood sample. "The serum is rewriting her DNA, but much faster than it did in our lab animals." Security Chief Allison Reeves came into the room with 6 soldiers. All carried special guns designed to stop enhanced targets. "Dr. Walsh, the general wants to know if she's going to explode or something," Reeves said. "I don't think so," Catherine answered, "but I can't be sure. This is all new territory." For the next 2 days, Lyra remained unconscious. The changes to her body continued. First, the scales spread to cover all her skin. Then slowly they sank back in, leaving her skin looking almost human, but with a slight metallic sheen. When Catherine tried to take a new blood sample, the needle bent against Lyra's skin. "Her body has become incredibly strong," Catherine told Commander Powell during a video meeting. "I can't even get a sample now without special tools." "Is she dangerous?" Powell asked. "She might be. The serum enhances physical abilities in humans. In her, it seems to be doing much more." On the night of the second day, Catherine was alone in the lab with Lyra. The guards were stationed outside. Catherine was reviewing brain scan data when she heard a sound behind her. Lyra was sitting up. "Dr. Walsh," Lyra said, in perfect English with no translator needed. Catherine almost fell out of her chair in shock. You can speak our language. Now?" "Your serum did more than change my body," Lyra explained. Her voice had a musical quality, like several notes playing at once. "It activated parts of my brain that were dormant. I can now learn things very quickly." "How do you feel?" Catherine asked, approaching carefully. "Different. Stronger." Lyra looked at her hands. She clenched one into a fist, and her skin hardened, taking on the look of metal. When she relaxed, it returned to normal. "I can control it." "Control what?" "My body's responses. The serum found something in my DNA, abilities my species once had but lost long ago." Catherine sat down next to Lyra's bed. "What do you mean?" "My people, the Cygnus Federation, were once warriors like humans are now, but we chose a different path. We evolved away from violence. The genes for those warrior traits were still in our DNA, just turned off. Your serum turned them back on." "So, it made you what your ancestors were?" "Yes. And more." Lyra closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, they glowed blue. Your serum is powerful, Dr. Walsh. In a human, it would make you stronger and faster. In me, it woke up abilities that have been sleeping for thousands of years. The next morning, General Margaret Wright arrived at the base. She was a tall woman with gray hair and a stern face. She had been in charge of the military side of Project Chimera from the beginning. "I want to see this alien," she told Catherine as soon as she arrived. Catherine led her to the medical bay. Lyra was sitting on her bed, reading a tablet computer that Heather had given her. She had gone through hundreds of books in just a few hours. "So this is our visitor," General Wright said, looking at Lyra with sharp eyes. "And she drank the serum?" "Yes, General," Catherine replied. "And it had unexpected effects." "Show me," Wright said to Lyra. Lyra stood up. She held out her hand, and her skin turned metallic. Then she picked up a metal tray and bent it like it was made of paper. "Impressive," Wright said. "What else can you do?" "I can learn any language in minutes. I can calculate complex math problems instantly. And I can do this." Lyra touched the wall and her hand passed right through it like it was water instead of solid concrete. Then she pulled her hand back. General Wright's eyes widened. "This is better than we hoped. The serum works even better on her species than on ours." "It's not just the serum, General," Catherine said. "It's how it interacts with her alien DNA. We couldn't get these results in a human." "Maybe, maybe not," Wright said. "But we can study her and learn. This could be the breakthrough we've been looking for." That night, Catherine stayed late to run more tests on Lyra. The alien seemed happy to help, curious about her own new abilities. "Why did your people make this serum?" Lyra asked. "To create better soldiers," Catherine answered honestly. "To give our military an edge." "Against whom?" "Other countries, mainly. Earth is divided into nations that sometimes fight each other." Lyra nodded. "My world was like that once, long ago, before we united." As they talked, Catherine found herself liking Lyra more and more. The alien was intelligent and thoughtful. She asked deep questions about human society and shared stories about her own world. "There are dangers out there, Catherine," Lyra said as the night grew late. "Dangers your people are not ready for." "What kind of dangers?" "Other species who are not as peaceful as the Federation. Some who would see your planet as a resource to be used, not a civilization to be welcomed." "Is that why you were sent here? To warn us?" Lyra looked away. "I was sent to study you, to see if you were ready to know about the wider galaxy. My ship's crash was an accident." Before Catherine could ask more questions, an alarm sounded. Red lights flashed in the hallway. "Security breach in Sector 7, said a voice over the speakers. "That's the weapons testing area," Catherine said, standing up quickly. "Someone's trying to break in." Guards ran past the door. Catherine heard shouting and then gunfire. She grabbed Lyra's arm. "We need to hide. It's not safe." "I can help," Lyra said. "The serum has made me stronger than your guards." Before Catherine could argue, 3 men in black masks burst into the room. They carried guns and wore body armor with no military markings. "There she is," one of them said, pointing at Lyra. "Take her alive." Lyra stepped forward. Her skin turned metallic in an instant. The men fired their guns, but the bullets bounced off her body. She moved faster than Catherine could follow, disarming all 3 men in seconds. "Who sent you?" Lyra demanded, holding one man by his throat. "The highest bidder," the man gasped. "Someone who wants your abilities for themselves." More guards arrived and took the intruders away. Commander Powell came to check on Catherine. "Are you all right, Doctor?" she asked. "Yes, thanks to Lyra," Catherine replied, looking at the alien with new respect. "She protected me." "The intruders were mercenaries," Powell said. "Someone leaked information about our visitor and what happened with the serum. They came to take her." That night, after the excitement had died down, Catherine sat with Lyra in a new, more secure room. "Your world is dangerous, Catherine," Lyra said quietly. "Yes, sometimes it is," Catherine agreed. "The serum has changed me, and now others will want what I have become. We'll protect you." Lyra smiled, but her eyes were sad. "Perhaps. Or perhaps I will need to protect you." A week passed after the attack. Security at the base was tighter than ever. Lyra spent her days with Catherine, learning about Earth and sharing information about space. General Wright visited often, always asking questions about Lyra's abilities. The serum didn't just change my body, Lyra explained during one of these meetings. It changed my mind too. I can now remember things my ancestors knew but my people forgot. What kind of things? Wright asked, leaning forward with interest. The locations of old outposts, battle strategies, the weak points of ships from other species. Lyra's eyes glowed briefly. Knowledge that was locked away when my people chose peace. Wright smiled. That kind of information could be very valuable to us. Catherine didn't like the hungry look in the general's eyes. She had grown to care for Lyra and didn't want to see her used as a weapon. Later that day, Catherine found Lyra sitting alone in her room, looking at the stars through a small window. "Are you okay?" Catherine asked. "I miss my home," Lyra said, "and I worry about what's happening there without me." "Can you contact your people?" Lyra shook her head. "My ship's communication system was damaged in the crash. I would need to repair it or build a new one." "Maybe we could help with that," Catherine suggested. "Your technology isn't advanced enough yet," Lyra said gently. "And even if it was, I'm not sure your military would want me to call my people. They seem more interested in what they can learn from me." Catherine couldn't argue with that. She had seen how excited General Wright was about the military applications of Lyra's abilities. "There's something I need to tell you," Lyra said, her voice low. "Something important about why I'm here." Before she could continue, Commander Powell entered the room. "Dr. Walsh, we need you in the main lab," she said. "We've decoded more of the alien ship's database. There's something you should see." In the lab, a large screen showed symbols from Lyra's ship, now translated into English. Catherine read them with growing concern. "This can't be right," she said. "According to this, Lyra's mission wasn't just to study Earth. She was sent here to assess us as a potential threat?" "Not just that," Powell said, pointing to another section of text. "Look here. It mentions something called the Arcturus Dominion. Apparently, they're rivals of the Cygnus Federation, and they're interested in Earth too. Where is Lyra now?" Catherine asked suddenly. "In her room under guard," Powell replied. "I need to talk to her." When they returned to Lyra's room, they found 2 guards unconscious outside the door. Inside, Lyra was gone. A perfect circle had been cut through the wall. "Sound the alarm," Powell shouted into her radio. "The alien has escaped." They searched the entire base but found no sign of Lyra. Security footage showed her touching the wall of her room, her hand glowing blue as it melted the concrete. "She can phase through solid matter," Catherine explained to the emergency team. "The serum enhanced that ability." "Where would she go?" General Wright demanded. Catherine thought for a moment. "Her ship. She said she missed home. She might try to repair it." They raced back to the crash site in the desert. Lyra's ship was still there, half buried in sand. But there was no sign of the alien. "Spread out and search the area," Wright ordered the soldiers. Catherine walked around the ship looking for clues. She noticed that a panel on the side had been opened. Inside, wires had been rearranged. "She was here," Catherine called to the others. "She did something to the ship." Just then, a humming sound came from inside the vessel. Lights flickered on along its hull. "Take cover," Wright shouted, pulling Catherine away from the ship. But instead of taking off, the ship projected a hologram into the air above it. Lyra's face appeared, 20 feet tall, looking down at them. "People of Earth," her voice boomed. "I must share the truth with you." The soldiers raised their weapons, but Wright motioned for them to hold their fire. "My mission here was not what you think," Lyra's hologram continued. "The Cygnus Federation has been protecting Earth for decades, keeping you hidden from the Arcturus Dominion, who would conquer your world." Catherine stepped forward. "Why didn't you tell us this before?" "I needed to be sure of your intentions," the hologram replied. "And then, When I took your serum, things changed. The knowledge that came back to me, it showed me what's coming. What's coming? Wright asked. War, Lyra said simply. The Dominion has found Earth despite our efforts to hide you. They will come soon, and when they do, they will show no mercy. The hologram changed to show images of massive ships, far larger than Lyra's small vessel. They had sharp angles and glowed with red energy. These are Dominion warships, Lyra explained. One of them can destroy an entire city from orbit. They have attacked other worlds before, taking their resources and enslaving their people. Why are you telling us this now? Catherine asked. And where are you? I'm sorry for leaving without saying goodbye, Lyra said, her hologram focusing on Catherine. But I needed to access my ship's database without interference. The serum has given me the ability to merge with the ship's systems to access information I couldn't before. That doesn't answer the question, Wright said sharply. Where are you? I'm still on Earth, Lyra replied. I need your help, and you need mine. The serum that changed me could be the key to defending your world. But we must work together as equals, not as captor and prisoner. Wright stepped forward. You expect us to trust you after you escaped? I expect you to want to survive, Lyra said. The Dominion fleet will reach Earth in 3 months. Without help, you have no chance against their technology. The hologram shifted again, showing Earth from space. Then red ships appeared, surrounding the planet. I propose an alliance, Lyra continued. Between my people and yours. We can share technology, prepare defenses, but it must be a true partnership, not an arrangement where you study me like a lab specimen. Catherine looked at Wright, then at Powell. We should listen to her. If what she's saying is true, we need her help. Wright frowned. And if she's lying? If this is some trick to get us to lower our guard? Then why would she come back at all? Catherine argued. She got away. She could have hidden anywhere on Earth. Instead, she's offering to help us. After a long moment, Wright nodded. Where do we meet, alien? I will come to you, Lyra's hologram said. Tonight at the base. But I will speak only with Dr. Walsh. She has shown me kindness and respect. The hologram faded. The ship's lights dimmed. That night, Catherine waited alone in the base's conference room. Guards were hidden throughout the building, ready to act if needed. At exactly midnight, the wall shimmered, and Lyra stepped through it as if it were a curtain. Thank you for trusting me enough to come alone, Lyra said. I'm not really alone, Catherine admitted. There are guards nearby. Lyra smiled. I know, I can sense them. Another gift from the serum. She sat down across from Catherine. I need to show you something. She held out her hand. In her palm was a small device glowing with the same blue light as her veins. What is it? Catherine asked. A data core from my ship. It contains everything my people know about the Dominion. Their weapons, their strategies, their weaknesses. Lyra pushed it across the table. This is my show of good faith. Use it to help prepare your world. Catherine took the device. Why are you doing this? Why help us? Because the serum changed more than my body and mind. It changed how I see things. Lyra's eyes glowed softly. My people chose peace so long ago that they forgot the value of standing up for others. They hide from the Dominion, protect only themselves. But the warrior knowledge that has returned to me, it tells me that some things are worth fighting for. And Earth is one of those things. Your people remind me of what mine once were. Full of potential, fierce, determined. Lyra smiled. And you, Catherine, showed me kindness when others saw only a specimen to study. That matters to me. Catherine placed her hand over Lyra's. I'll make sure your information gets to the right people. People who will use it to protect Earth, not to gain power for themselves. I know you will. Lyra stood up. But that's not all we need to do. The serum that changed me, we need more of it. Modified for humans. What? Why? Because it doesn't just make the body stronger. It awakens dormant abilities. Humans have potential you haven't begun to tap. With the right modifications, the serum could give your soldiers the edge they need against Dominion technology. You want us to create super soldiers? Catherine asked, surprised. I want us to give your people a fighting chance, Lyra corrected. The Dominion has weapons you can't imagine, but they've never faced enhanced humans before. It could surprise them. Buy us time until my people arrive. Your people are coming? I sent a message the night I escaped. A distress call using my ship's emergency beacon. The Federation will send help, but they're far away. It will take time. Until then, we need to prepare. Catherine nodded slowly. I'll talk to General Wright, but she'll want proof of this Dominion threat. The proof is in the data core, Lyra said. And soon you'll have more proof than you want. The Dominion always sends scouts before the main fleet. They'll be here within weeks. As Lyra prepared to leave, she turned back to Catherine. There's one more thing you should know. The reason the serum worked so well on me, better than it would on humans. Yes? 1 month after Lyra revealed the truth about the coming invasion, Meridian Base had changed completely. What was once a secret research facility had become the headquarters for Earth's defense planning. Scientists, military officers, and government officials from around the world now worked there day and night. Catherine and her team worked on modifying the serum based on Lyra's guidance. The alien visited regularly, appearing and disappearing through walls when needed. The key is to balance the enhancement, Lyra explained as she watched Catherine adjust the formula. Too much, and the human body will reject it. Too little, and it won't provide enough advantage against Dominion weapons. General Wright had set up a special team of soldiers who would be the first to try the modified serum. Captain Michelle Winters led this team. She was tall and strong, with short brown hair and determined eyes. She had been chosen because of her exceptional service record and her physical resilience. Are you sure this will work? Winters asked Catherine during one of her pre-serum examinations. Will it make us like her? Not exactly, Catherine replied. Lyra's biology is different from ours, even if we have some distant common ancestry. The serum will enhance your natural abilities and possibly unlock dormant genetic potential, but you won't be able to walk through walls. That's probably for the best, Winters said with a small smile. I like doors just fine. The day they tested the first batch of modified serum, everyone was tense. Catherine had tested it on lab animals with promising results, but a human trial was different. Captain Winters volunteered to go first. Just a small dose to start, Catherine said, filling a syringe with blue liquid. It didn't glow like it had in Lyra's veins, but it shimmered slightly under the lights. Winters sat calmly as Catherine injected the serum into her arm. For a few minutes, nothing happened. Then Winters gasped and gripped the edges of her chair. It burns, she said through clenched teeth. Like fire in my blood. Catherine checked her vital signs. Heart rate elevated but stable. Body temperature rising. Winters closed her eyes. Her muscles tensed visibly under her skin. A light sweat broke out on her forehead. Then, after about 5 minutes, she relaxed and opened her eyes. How do you feel? Catherine asked. Different, Winters replied. Stronger. Clearer. She stood up and flexed her hand. Everything feels sharper somehow. Like I was seeing the world through a dirty window before, and now it's clean. They ran tests. Winters could now lift 3 times what she could before. Her reaction time had improved by 40%. Her eyesight was sharper, and she could hear whispered conversations from across the room. It worked, Catherine told General Wright later. Not as dramatically as with Lyra, but significantly enough to make a difference. Good, Wright said. Proceed with the rest of the team. Over the next week, 19 more soldiers received the serum. All showed similar enhancements to Winters. They began training with their new abilities, learning how to control their enhanced strength and speed. Lyra worked with them, teaching them fighting techniques her ancestors had used. The Dominion expects to face normal humans, she explained. Your enhanced abilities will surprise them. Use that advantage. Meanwhile, astronomers around the world had been warned to watch for unusual objects approaching Earth. 2 weeks after the soldiers received the serum, they found something Small ships, 3 of them, the head astronomer reported during an emergency meeting. They're in high orbit staying on the far side of the moon. If we hadn't been looking specifically for them, we might have missed them entirely. Scouts, Lyra said grimly. Just as I predicted. They're mapping your defenses, looking for the best attack points. Can they detect our enhanced soldiers? General Wright asked. No. The serum changes don't emit any energy signature they could detect. From orbit. As far as they know, you're just normal humans with primitive weapons. The next day, the scouts made their move. One ship broke from orbit and headed toward Earth, aiming for a remote area in the Canadian wilderness. They're landing, Catherine said, watching the tracking screen with Lyra and General Wright. Why there? It's just forest for hundreds of miles. They want samples, Lyra explained. Soil, water, air. They're checking if Earth can be terraformed to suit their biology better. We can't let them leave with those samples, Wright said. Captain Winters, prepare your team. You're going to Canada. 6 hours later, Winters and her enhanced squad were hiding in the trees near where the alien scout ship had landed. The ship was smaller than Lyra's, but with a similar sleek design. 2 figures had emerged and were collecting samples from the ground and a nearby lake. They don't look like Lyra, Winters whispered into her radio. The scouts were taller, with gray skin, and no visible scales. They wore armor that seemed to shift colors to match their surroundings. Dominion scouts have adaptive camouflage. Lyra's voice came through the radio. Be careful. Their armor has sensors that can detect movement, but they're calibrated for normal human speed. If you move fast enough, you might confuse them. Winters gave the signal. Her team moved with enhanced speed, surrounding the scouts before they could react. The aliens reached for weapons on their belts, but the soldiers were faster. They tackled the scouts to the ground. The fight was brief but intense. The scouts were strong, even without serum enhancements. One of them managed to activate something on its wrist, and a high-pitched signal rang out. They're calling for backup, Lyra warned over the radio. You need to disable their ship now. Winters and 3 others rushed the ship while the rest of the team held down the scouts. Inside, they found a control panel glowing with red symbols. Lyra, we're in. What do we do? Winters asked. Look for a pulsing red circle. It's their power core control. Winters found it and pressed her hand against it as Lyra instructed. Nothing happened. It needs Dominion DNA to activate, Lyra explained. You need to get one of the scouts to touch it. Winters ran back outside. Her team had subdued both scouts, who were now bound with special restraints. She grabbed one and dragged it back to the ship. Make it touch the panel, she ordered her team. They forced the scout's hand onto the pulsing circle. The alien fought and made angry clicking sounds, but the panel responded to its touch. The lights inside the ship changed from red to purple. Now press the sequence I told you, Lyra instructed. Quickly before their backup arrives, Winters followed the instructions. The ship's engines powered down, the lights faded. Good, Lyra said. Now get out of there and bring the scouts back to base. We need to question them. As they loaded the captured aliens onto their transport, a bright light appeared in the sky. Another Dominion ship, larger than the scout vessel, descended rapidly. Take cover, Winters shouted. The ship fired energy beams that cut through the trees like they were paper. The enhanced soldiers moved with incredible speed, dodging the beams as they dragged their prisoners to safety. We need extraction now, Winters called into her radio. A military helicopter appeared over the trees, firing missiles at the Dominion ship. The missiles exploded against some kind of energy shield, barely damaging it. The missiles won't work, Lyra said through the radio. Your weapons are too primitive. Then what do we do? Winters asked, ducking as another energy beam cut through the forest near her. Use the scouts as leverage. The Dominion values their reconnaissance data. They won't risk killing them. Winters ordered her team to hold the scouts in plain sight. The Dominion ship stopped firing immediately. See, Lyra said. Now back away slowly toward your helicopter. They won't fire as long as you have their scouts. The plan worked. The soldiers made it to the helicopter with their prisoners. As they lifted off, the Dominion ship followed, but didn't attack. We can't lead them back to base, Winters realized. Head to the backup location. General Wright ordered through the radio. We prepared for this. The helicopter flew to a different military base hundreds of miles away. The Dominion ship followed at a distance. As they approached the second base, surface-to-air missiles launched, not at the alien ship, but around it, creating a wall of explosions that temporarily blinded its sensors. In that moment, the helicopter dived into a hidden underground hangar, the doors closing quickly behind it. When the Dominion ship's sensors cleared, the helicopter had vanished. It circled the area for hours before finally returning to orbit. At the secret facility, Catherine and Lyra were waiting. The captured scouts were placed in a special containment room designed based on Lyra's specifications. Can you communicate with them? Catherine asked Lyra as they observed the aliens through a one-way window. Yes, but they may not be willing to talk, Lyra replied. Dominion scouts are fanatically loyal. Lyra entered the containment room. The scouts made angry clicking and hissing sounds when they saw her. Traitor, one of them said in its own language, which Lyra translated for the humans watching. You help the primitives. I help those who deserve to be free, Lyra replied. The Dominion's time of conquest is ending. The scouts laughed, a strange bubbling sound. You are a fool. The fleet comes. This world will burn like the others. Lyra placed her hand on the wall, and it turned transparent, showing the night sky. Do you see that? She asked, pointing to a particularly bright star. That's not a star, that's a Federation battleship. My people are coming too. The 6 weeks passed quickly. Around the world, governments prepared their people for the truth. Earth was about to face an alien invasion. There was panic at first, but as details of the plan to fight back spread, hope began to grow. Catherine worked day and night to produce more of the modified serum. Thanks to Lyra's guidance, they had improved the formula, making it safer and more effective. 500 soldiers from countries around the world had now been enhanced. Lyra spent most of her time with Captain Winters and the first team of enhanced soldiers, teaching them advanced combat techniques. She also worked with engineers to modify Earth weapons using knowledge from the Dominion scouts. Their ships have energy shields, she explained during one planning session, but the shields have a specific frequency. If we can match that frequency with our weapons, we can penetrate them. Scientists use this information to adapt missiles and fighter jets. It wasn't as good as having alien technology, but it was better than nothing. 3 days before the Dominion fleet was due to arrive, Lyra received a signal on a device she had built from parts of her ship. It's from the Federation, she told Catherine excitedly. They're coming. They'll be here just after the Dominion arrives. Will they help us fight? Catherine asked. Lyra's expression grew serious. They aren't sure yet. They want to assess the situation first. What? Your people would just watch while Earth is attacked? The Federation hasn't fought a war in thousands of years. They're cautious. Lyra touched Catherine's arm. But I'm still here, and I will fight with you no matter what. The night before the invasion, Catherine couldn't sleep. She walked through the base, checking preparations one last time. She found Lyra on the roof, looking up at the stars. Tomorrow they come, Lyra said without turning. I can feel it. Are you scared? Catherine asked, joining her. Yes, but not of dying. Lyra turned to face her. I'm afraid of becoming what my ancestors were, beings of war and violence. The serum has awakened that part of me. Sometimes, I worry it will consume me. You won't let that happen, Catherine said. You're fighting to protect, not to conquer. That makes all the difference. Lyra smiled. You humans are young as a species, but sometimes very wise. She looked back at the stars. There's something I haven't told you about the serum and why it worked so well on me. What is it? The Federation and the Dominion were once one species, long ago. We split when some chose peace and others chose conquest. The serum didn't just awaken my warrior past, it awakened the connection between us. I can sense them now, feel their thoughts. You can read their minds? Catherine asked, shocked. Not exactly, but I can feel their presence, their intentions. Lyra's eyes glowed blue in the darkness. And they can feel mine. The Dominion fleet is coming because of me, Catherine. because they sense a threat they don't understand. You're saying this is your fault? I'm saying that when I drank the serum, I became a beacon. They felt the awakening of an ancient power they thought was gone forever. Lyra's voice was sad. But perhaps we can use this connection. Perhaps I can be more than just one warrior in this fight. The next morning, the world watched as the Dominion fleet appeared in orbit. 20 massive ships, each larger than a city, took position around Earth. Smaller fighter ships began to descend into the atmosphere. In command centers, around the planet, military leaders prepared to launch their defenses. Enhanced soldiers like Captain Winters and her team boarded special aircraft designed to fight in the upper atmosphere. Catherine and General Wright watched from the main control room at Meridian Base as the first wave of Dominion fighters entered Earth's airspace. "Where's Lyra?" Catherine asked, not seeing the alien anywhere. "She said she had a plan," Wright replied. "Something about using the connection the serum gave her." On screens around the room, they watched Earth's modified fighter jets engage with the alien ships. The adapted weapons worked. Some of the Dominion fighters exploded when hit. But there were so many of them, and they were so fast. Reports came in from around the world. London under attack, Tokyo being hit by energy beams, Sydney's harbor filled with landing craft. "We can't hold them off everywhere," Wright said grimly. "There are too many." Just then, the door to the control room opened. Lyra walked in, but she looked different. Her skin glowed with blue energy and her eyes were like twin stars. "Lyra," Catherine said, stepping toward her. "Are you okay?" "I'm more than Lyra now," she replied, her voice echoing strangely. "I've embraced the full power of the serum. I've opened my mind to all it can do." "What does that mean?" Wright demanded. Instead of answering, Lyra walked to the center of the room. She raised her hands, and the blue glow around her grew brighter. "Sibi, serum connected me to the Dominion," she said. "But it also connected me to the enhanced humans. We share a bond now, a network of minds." On screens showing battles around the world, something strange happened. The enhanced soldiers all paused at the same moment. Then they began to move with perfect coordination, as if guided by a single mind. "I can link with them," Lyra explained. "Share my knowledge directly. Show them exactly how to fight the Dominion." Catherine watched in amazement as the tide of battle began to turn. Enhanced soldiers moved with impossible precision, anticipating the Dominion's every move. Fighter pilots seemed to know exactly where to aim. "It's working," Wright said in disbelief. "We're pushing them back." But the main Dominion fleet remained in orbit, untouched, and then they began to fire energy weapons down at Earth. Massive. Beams struck the planet, causing earthquakes and tsunamis. "We can't reach them up there," Wright said. "Our weapons don't have that range." Lyra closed her eyes. "The Federation ships are close now. I can sense them." Her eyes opened, glowing even brighter. "I'm going to try something. Something dangerous." Before Catherine could ask what she meant, Lyra's body began to change. The blue glow intensified until it was hard to look at her directly. Her form seemed to shift, becoming less solid. "What's happening to her?" Wright asked. "I don't know," Catherine replied, watching in awe and fear. Lyra's voice came from everywhere and nowhere. "The serum didn't just enhance my body. It enhanced my connection to my ship, to all technology. I can extend my consciousness into machines." Suddenly, every screen in the control room showed the same image. The Federation fleet, finally arriving in Earth's solar system. 15 ships, even larger than the Dominion vessels. "They're here, but they won't fight," Lyra's voice said. "They're still bound by their pacifist ways, but I can use their presence." The glowing form that had been Lyra rose into the air and passed through the ceiling of the control room. Catherine ran outside to see what was happening. In the sky above the base, a pillar of blue light extended upward, through the clouds, toward space. All around the world, the enhanced soldiers stopped, fighting at the same moment. They all looked up as if hearing a call. Then, as one, they raised their hands toward the sky. Blue energy flowed from them, joining the pillar of light, She's channeling their energy, Catherine realized. The serum is creating some kind of network, connecting them all to Lyra. In space, the Dominion fleet turned their weapons toward the approaching Federation ships. But before they could fire, the pillar of blue light reached them. It split into 20 beams, one for each Dominion vessel. The energy wrapped around the ships, creating a glowing web. The Dominion ships tried to fire, but their weapons didn't work. They tried to move, but they were held in place. "This is Lyra," a voice said over every radio, every television, every speaker on Earth. "I am offering the Dominion one chance to leave in peace. The Federation is here. Earth is protected. This battle is over." There was silence for a long moment. Then the Dominion ships began to move again, but not toward Earth. They turned and accelerated away from the planet, back into deep space. The blue energy faded. The pillar of light disappeared. All over the world, enhanced soldiers collapsed to their knees, exhausted but alive. At Meridian Base, Catherine ran to where a figure had fallen from the sky. It was Lyra, her body no longer glowing, looking almost human except for the faint scales on her temples. "Lyra? Can you hear me?" Catherine asked, kneeling beside her. Lyra's eyes opened slowly. They were normal now, no longer glowing. "Did it work? Are they gone?" "Yes, they're leaving." "You did it." Lyra smiled weakly. "Not just me, all of us connected. The serum created a bond between us all, human and alien alike." Over the next few days, as Earth began to recover from the attack, the Federation ships remained in orbit. Finally, they sent a delegation to meet with Earth's leaders. Lyra attended as a bridge between the two species. "The Federation is impressed by Earth's defense," she told Catherine after the meeting. "They never imagined humans could repel a Dominion fleet." "We had help," Catherine pointed out. "We had you." "And I had your serum," Lyra replied. "It changed everything. For me, for Earth, for the galaxy." The Federation offered Earth membership in their alliance. It would take time, years of cultural exchange and technological sharing, but the path was clear. Humanity had faced its first interstellar threat and survived. Captain Winters and her team of enhanced soldiers became the core of a new defense force, trained to protect Earth from any future threats. The serum was carefully controlled, used only for defense, never conquest.